Hmm.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Peter is here. Hello,
Hi.
Peter.
H- How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, very good, very good. And you?
Good, good. I should say, how are you girls doing today? But,
Yeah,
Yes.
All right, great. So I imagine that you guys have introduced each other. We've got Yen and how do I say your name? Sibylla?
Sibylle. Yeah,
Sibylla?
Sibylle.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sibylla. Okay, perfect. Just hang on, Sibylla. Okay, good. And how are you two doing today?
yeah, it's very good.
Yeah?
Um, autumn started today in Germany. I'm from Germany, and yeah, autumn started today, and I'm happy about this because we had a long summer and a hot summer, and I don't like the heat so much, and yeah, and now autumn has started, and it's fine.
Nice, nice. That's good. I still have a couple of months until the cooler weather comes. I'm originally from Canada, but I'm living in Mexico now. So right now it's hot. It's the hottest month of the year. Very humid, high temperatures, but it's okay. Today, actually, it's Curtis's birthday today, so he had some family members that were sending him birthday greetings, and one of them. He said, "Oh, hey, nice to hear from you. How are things going?" And his brother says, "Oh, everything is okay aside from the weather." And he sent him a picture of his backyard, and it was covered with snow. So,
Oh.
Oh.
okay, we can't complain here. All right. And we have Jose that joined us. Hi, Jose. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. Are you, Amy?
How am I?
You don't hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
I tell you. How are you?
Okay. I thought I heard, "Are you Amy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Amy," but I know you know that. So
Okay.
I thought you were asking how I was. I'm doing pretty well today, thanks. Yeah, everything is good. Oh, and we have Emily that joined us. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
Pretty good. You know, just here. I've got my air conditioner running, keeping it cool. Okay. And Yen, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. And how about you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Happy to be here
Yeah.
with all of you. Okay,
Yes, I'm very happy.
great. And I have a topic that seems kind of boring initially to talk about, which is transportation, but I think it's something that can be a pretty interesting topic, especially when we're discussing what it's like within each country and the differences that we notice. Oh, we have Lydiane in here too. Hi, Lydia, how are you? Oh, maybe she can't hear us. Hello. Can you hear us? She's like, I don't know who's talking to me. Hi, Lydiane. How are you?
Hi,
There you
Amy.
go. Okay.
I'm
Good,
doing.
good. Good. Wow, we have a big group of people today. Awesome. This is great. So yeah, anyway, I just want to start by asking everybody, who has their own car? Put up your hand if you have your own car. Okay, Emily and Lydiane. Okay. Now, who has used the public transportation even though they have a car? Me. Jose has. Okay, good. All right. So we all have experience with the public transportation system, and I can tell there's a huge difference between the public transportation in Canada and the public transportation to in a lot of the countries that I've traveled to, whether it be where I live now in Mexico. I have a lot of experience with the public transportation system because I've only bought a car in the last 6 months. But I've also had to experience the public transportation system in Vancouver when I had to spend 10 days in Vancouver without a car. So I I have a different opinion about the pros and cons of both situations. But okay, so Silva, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about the public transportation in Germany? Do you think that it's good? Could it be better? What is your overall summary about public transportation?
I think it's a good system. It's quite there's a wide variety of transport or meanings of transport, and but it depends on the place you live in. If you live in a smaller place, then the possibilities are rare. And if you live in bigger cities like Berlin or Munich or bigger cities, as I said, then the possibilities of public transport are really good.
Oh, okay. So they have better systems in the bigger cities.
You have different possibilities or different options of transportation, and yeah, it's quite good.
Ah, that's good. Okay. And Jan, what is the public transportation like where you live? Which city are you in again?
Oh, in my city have a lot of transportation population. It's like a bus, trains.
Okay.
Yeah, and subway. Train subway.
Subways too? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay. And what is the name of this city that you live in?
Oh, I'm living in Charlotte.
Oh, I've never heard of that
North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina, Charlotte.
Ah, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So how big is this city? Is it a large city?
Yeah, I think it's not large city. Yeah,
No?
it's the
Okay, somewhere in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And Jose, what is the public transportation like where you live?
I think that the public transportation here in Montevideo is bad. It's bad. No good. We have only buses and taxis.
Oh.
We don't have subway. Never had subway. And maybe some application, but they work like taxis.
Okay.
The new application.
Okay.
And Montevideo is we have 1,400,000 inhabitants here.
Okay. You could say 1,400,000 or 1.4 million people is okay as well.
Yes, but a big part of these inhabitants live in the suburb of Montevideo.
Okay. So it's a fairly large city to only have a bus system without trains or subways or anything. Okay. Do they have any plans to put in a subway system or trains?
No. In the past, some government thing, but here we have. It is very hard to build a subway here because there are in the sub of the earth. We have under the earth. We have rock.
Oh, so it's very difficult to build the tunnels.
It is very expensive. Then we only have and we don't have train here. I think that this is the only country, Uruguay, that don't have train.
In the capital city.
No, in the country.
But Montevideo is the capital, right?
Yes, Montevideo
Okay.
is the capital.
Yeah. So it has to lead the way.
but in the country we have not train.
Okay.
We have in the past we have train around all the country.
Like a railway system. Okay.
Yes, but nowadays no.
Okay. And Emily, what is it like, the public transportation system? I don't know, maybe you can talk about your experience in Canada, but also a little bit about your time in China, if you use the transportation there.
Actually, for me, it's like the public transportation in London and Toronto is totally different because London is a small city and Toronto is a larger city. So in London, we don't have subway. We only have buses.
Okay.
And the buses will run for every 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Yeah, but if sometimes I feel it's very, very sad if I just miss the bus that will run for every half an hour and you need to wait for another half an hour, but especially during the traffic jam and it's very hard to catch bus. But in Toronto, I feel the public transportation is better than London because they have the buses. I'm not sure the name of that transportation. So you have a line in front of the bus, and then it's connect with some line
okay, it's kind of like a subway, but it might not always be underground. Sometimes it's above ground and sometimes it's underground. Yeah, it's probably like a train or something like that, or it's kind of hard to say because subway is always it's usually underground, but I know in Vancouver it's above ground and below ground depending on where you are. Okay.
So they had buses, subways below and underground, and the subways are pretty old.
So, they're old.
Yeah, they are old, and I haven't been to Toronto for a long time, but some of my friends say that the public transportation in Toronto is very terrible, and I don't know why.
Okay. Maybe it's the traffic and it's busy because it's a very populated area. Yeah. Okay. And Lydiane, what about you in your area? Which city do you live in again?
I'm living in Little Valley near from São Paulo.
Okay.
Here, this majority of transportation is bus system. But most of people use Uber or bike. Uber.
Yep, perfect.
And in downtown São Paulo, you can use a train or subway, something like that. But in my city, it's so difficult to use bike because we have a lot of mountains, vehicles,
Yeah, so anytime you're riding your bike, downhill is okay, but uphill, if it's on the way to work, that's not good.
Yes.
Okay. And Mohammed, what about you? You're in Jakarta, so you have a fairly big city. What is the public transportation like there?
Okay, hello Amy and guys. I'm sorry I'm late.
It's okay.
Okay. In Jakarta, the public transportation, we have a train in the ground and busway and the popular public transportation is in Jakarta is taxi bike, online taxi bike.
Okay.
We can order a taxi bike with by handphone, and we the taxi bike. Yes, we can order by handphone, and this year's we built a tunnel for the subway because Indonesian want to have a subway like other country. Yes, we start the built a tunnel, and we built a railway in the flyover. I don't know what the name. So
like over the road?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe it's overpass, or I don't know. I don't even know how to describe the one in Vancouver. It just goes in the air. It's like they have pillars and almost like a road that's in the air, and it travels over the city. It's weird.
Yes, exactly, Amy. And I just know the name is the monorail and the like rapid transit and mass rapid transit. The train is already available, but the infrastructure is not finished yet. So maybe in next year's the people of Jakarta can use the overpass train that we said in the next years. We hope.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully it'll probably be a lot better for transportation, getting from one side of the city to the other quickly. Okay,
right.
It looks like we just had Julia pop in here. I don't think that I've met Julia before. How are you doing today?
Probably you don't hear me. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I can hear you, no problem.
Really? Hi, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm here for the first time, actually.
Great. Where are you from, Julia?
I'm from Russia.
Russia. Wow, we have people from all over the world today. This is amazing. And just so you guys know, this speaking group, how it is right now, is the absolute maximum size it will ever be. Curtis and I will be adding 2 sessions back to back, so that if there are too many people in one, you can go to the other one. And we're going to start having like a registration thing so that people can say which session they're going to join. Because we always want to give you guys time to talk, and I know with this many people it's only a little bit of time.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So Julia, we're just talking a little bit about public transportation and what it's like in your city. And just before I ask the next question, I'm going to ask you that question. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the public transportation that's available in your city in Russia?
Well, actually, in my city, it is not available because my city is very small. It's about 20,000 people.
Oh, yeah, that's small.
And, well, yeah, but my city is close to Moscow, so I often visit Moscow, and there are a lot of different types of public transportation there.
Do they have a subway system in Moscow?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so buses and subway. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to jump to one of the more interesting questions that is on the list, and it's, do you have a funny story about something that happened to you while you were taking public transportation? I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I find that sometimes people that take public transportation, sometimes they're normal, sometimes they're taking it just because it's the way of getting to work that makes sense, especially in large cities. But there are some people that are on public transportation that are just weird, and there are some strange things that happen. So does anybody have a funny story that they can think of, or something that happened one time while they were on public transportation?
No, I don't know if it's a funny story.
Okay, or interesting, anything?
Yeah, maybe interesting or unusual. Last year, my husband and I, we were in New York, and we used the subway. And when we were going by subway, suddenly it stopped, and we had no idea what was happened. And yeah, we listened, or we tried to listen to the information given by the guy over the or via the
loudspeaker.
Yeah, via the loudspeaker, and but it was impossible to understand because of the sound of the.
It's like we have a problem like that.
So, and what we realized was people went off and people went on the subway, and we were surprised, and we were wondering what will happen now. And finally, we also got off and asked for information. And the problem we have is I'm a wheelchair user, and the only suitable station for me are stations where an elevator is available.
Oh no!
So, and the station we stuck was one of the station without elevator.
Oh, okay.
And the happenstance was that the station is connected with a department store that has an elevator. So we got in, or we went into the department store and took the elevator from the department store, and this was the only chance to go out of the station. So
okay. Nice. So it was a successful mission in the end. You were able to find a way to get to the top without having to ask, 3 strong men to carry you up the stairs, right?
Yeah. The other possibility, but it wasn't necessary because of the department store.
Nice. Oh, that's
which had an elevator.
Yeah, because usually if they have an escalator, they'll also have an elevator to get you to the upstairs part. That's perfect. Great. Does anybody else have anything interesting that's happened to them while taking public transportation, or any problems, something you can complain about? Oh, I'm sure there's something. Any complaints while taking public transportation?
So I remember when I came to the United States at the first day when the airplane arrived airport, and inside the airport have a bus take we from this gate to another gate.
Oh yeah.
But yes, but we arrived at Los Angeles. Airport. It's a big airport.
Okay. Hang on.
Yeah.
Airport. There we go. Okay,
airport.
Good. I was like, what? I think you're saying airport, but I needed to hear it a few times.
Yeah.
Okay. Airport. Okay.
Airport. Yes. And the first time I remember this one, I don't know how to speak English, but I don't. We cannot hear. And I don't know how we get on the bus to get another gate, and we walk by foot, and it means we lost. We missed another.
You missed your next flight.
Yeah, missed that plan, and we stuck in airport about 4 hours. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Yeah, it's so sad. But right now, I remember it's funny because I don't know how to speak English. Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
definitely got a
It's
few
in my,
stories like that.
yes.
Okay. Now, what about you, Emily? You're always taking public transportation. I'm sure you've had some sort of problem or something. Nothing has happened to you?
Actually, there are a lot of complaints when I took the public transportation in Beijing. Actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like sometimes, especially during the summer, like if it rains, like the rain will be very heavy. So and because the subway is underground, so sometimes like the rain will go in under the ground, so it can not let the subway to operate as usual. So I remember one day, the person who is working at the subway just told all of the people to get out from next station, and then we need to get into another subway that is coming. So because other people are getting off from the first subway, so all these people getting to the second subway will be very crowded. And now there is no space between 12 people. So, and I feel that is the terrible story I had ever before.
Oh, okay. I have a very similar one that happened to me in Canada. I'll tell you guys after. Jose, do you have any experiences with the public transportation that were less than awesome?
Yeah, always occur a funny thing when you use public transportation. And when I worked in the past, I travel, I commute all the day, but I don't remember at this moment. Don't remember any something special to tell you.
Okay, that's all right. No problem. And Lydiane, what about you? Do you have any interesting stories that have happened to you? Or problems?
No, I never. I don't have a funny story or interesting. But in the past, here in Brazil, in my city, the bus was so crowded, and you can imagine during the summer is so hot, and rain a lot, and then the people usually fight because they open the window. I want to open, and then somebody close the window. And this time we don't have air conditioning.
Okay, yeah, the buses don't have air conditioning.
Yes.
Oh,
it's a big problem.
Yeah, I can relate to this. Puerto Vallarta in the summer, actually, that is probably the one thing I'm extremely grateful for. Every time at this time of year, when I get into my car and it's like air conditioning, I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. Because I remember traveling on the buses last year. It was just like I had a hand fan, and I would have to use it constantly just to have some circulating air, because the buses have very small windows and the sun is coming into the bus. It's really hot outside to begin with, and then everybody is sweating and the humidity, it's just horrible. Horrible experience. Okay, and what about you, Mohammed? Do you have anything that's happened with your adventures on public transportation?
Yes, it's about taxi bike, and I sometimes I use the taxi bike. And one day I ordered the taxi bike to the destination, and in the I'm sorry. Okay. I we in this online I use an online taxi bike.
Mhm.
We can watching the location the driver is, and uh, uh, I'm sorry I have to go
Oh,
one
okay.
moment.
No problem. We'll
Okay.
go to Julia. If you can come back, great. Okay. Okay. Hey, Julia, do you have anything interesting? Have you ever had to take the transportation? Obviously, if you go to Moscow, you probably do. Have you ever had anything happen that was inconvenient, interesting, annoying on while you've taken public transportation?
Well, actually, I have almost the same situation like I had almost the same situation like Sibili. Sibila, I'm sorry, yeah. So I was traveling in Paris, and the voice announced something in French, of course, and everyone gone, but two persons still stayed in the carriage. So I decided I can stay as well, and the train continued to run, and soon I realized that we are approaching to some depot. And I asked to these two persons why they are still sitting, and they told me that they realized that I was sitting, so they decided to stay in the carriage. So we went to the depot, and well, we had terrible experience there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was difficult to get out of this depot.
I've had a similar situation with that here locally when I'm on a bus and I don't really understand where the last stop is, but for some reason everybody else on the bus just knows. And, you know, the bus driver finally says, "Where are you going?" And you're like, "Oh, I don't even know what it's called." And they're like, "This is the last stop." And then you're like, "Oh, okay." And you get off the bus. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as I'm hearing you guys talking, oh, I have too many stories to even share. I'll pick one. Let me think about. Okay, I think probably the most interesting one was during a trip where I was traveling in Colombia, and it was in a city called Barranquilla. And this city had, I think, 3 million people, so it was a pretty busy city, and a lot of people take the public transportation. Curtis and I, we had to change the place that we were staying halfway through our stay there, and we ended up going to one area, which was not like, we could say, the most affluent area of the city. And that meant that there were not a lot of people that had cars, and everybody depended on the public transportation system. And it was amazing. When you were at the terminal, the people waited on the platform for this. It was like a bus, but it acted kind of like a train or a subway. Like there was a dedicated lane for this bus, and it followed a specific route, and it had different stations. But the people, they would wait at the platform, specifically where the doors opened, even though there were no lines on the pavement. They knew exactly where to stand, and they would form a line. And usually you had to wait, if it was rush hour, 2 or 3 buses would come, like, I don't know, every 5 minutes there'd be a new one. And it was like a double bus. This bus was a very large bus. And it was incredible how quickly people got to the seats because they didn't want to stand. So it was like, ready, set, go, doors open. And if you weren't within the first 4 people in the line, you were standing. Like it was absolutely impossible. And they were like experts. So Curtis and I were like, okay, we're going to do it this time. We're going to get a seat. Not like it really mattered. I mean, we're just tourists. We can stand. But, you know, it was like, boom, every seat is full. You know, and how did they do that? And so anyway, needless to say, we ended up standing almost every single time that we had to catch this bus. And it was very, very full. you could say we were packed in there like sardines in a can. So everybody just wants to catch that bus. They don't want to wait. So they keep putting more people on. And yeah, it was really interesting. So that's one of my public transportation stories. As I was listening to Mohammed, I was like, oh, the rickshaws, I have a story about that. And then, you know, Emily with the bus having to transfer to another bus, that happened to me in Canada. Packed bus, just packed, and it broke down. And everybody from the bus had to wait for the next one. I was like, how are we all going to fit on? Yeah, lots of stories that have happened. And I've had a car most of my life, so I don't know. I thought, oh yeah, people are going to have interesting stories. Okay. Now, let's talk about some of the advantages of having a car versus the disadvantages of having a car. Like, I know in big cities, having a car is sometimes not a good thing. You know, traffic jams, wasted gas, just sitting there idling in your car waiting, expensive parking, things like that. But yeah, why don't we talk about, to you and your personal situation, what are the benefits of having a car versus maybe sometimes it can be an annoying thing to have a car. Do you want to start, Silva?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a car, and it's important for me because I live in a village, and my my working place is in the next town.
Okay.
So that's why I need a car. And on the other hand, I need my car as well because of my wheelchair issue. And yeah, it's a great benefit for me to have a car.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, I mean, you can go wherever you need to go, and you're not dependent. Like if you're in a wheelchair, you have to make sure that you're careful where you go, that you can access whatever you need to access. So if you have a car, piece of cake. It makes it a lot easier. Very nice. Okay.
There's no traffic jam in my let's say in my town, in my village. There isn't traffic jam, and also in the town I live or I work, there's also no traffic jam because it's a town. There live 30,000 inhabitants, or there are 30,000 inhabitants, and yeah, there's no problem with parking lots and with parking fees, and yeah, there's no problem.
Yeah. And in a small town, it's almost essential that you have a car. It's just the way that it is. I mean, usually it's kind of rural and you have more spaces between the houses, so it can be inconvenient even to go to the store, because it's not like there's a store on every corner in a small town. You know, you have one or two stores. That's where you do most of your shopping. And yeah. Okay, perfect. And
honestly, if I lived in a big city, I wouldn't have a car, because it's useless, because of the traffic situation, and because of the high parking fees and so on.
Exactly. Yeah. In a city, it's not as convenient. Yeah. And even in the city where I am, we have between 200 and 300,000 people. And I think that size, even in the downtown area, we have problems with parking. You know, I'm driving around looking for a space, and I don't know. We don't have to pay for the parking, but it can be difficult to find. And, you know, sometimes you don't think about it until you're down there with your car and you can't find a space to park. All right. And Yen, what about you? Do you have a car, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what are the biggest advantages and sometimes disadvantages of having a car?
I have a car, but now I don't use car. Yeah,
okay.
But I think, in my opinion, we have a car is very important, because you can go anywhere you want. You can use your car, but you don't need to wait the bus or you when you want to I think in my city we need the car.
Okay.
Because, yeah. Yeah, because if you use the transport station, is it's very difficult the time for you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I noticed that as well in my hometown. We don't have a very big city either. It was 200,000 people. And it was like what Emily was talking about in London. You're on the side of the road waiting for the bus for half an hour.
Yes.
It just takes forever to get anywhere. It's horrible. Okay. And Jose, what about you? What do you think the biggest advantages and the disadvantages are with having a car?
Well, the biggest advantage of having a car is the possibility to go to anywhere at any time do you want. When you have your own car, you can go and you don't depend of other people. And I think that you can administrate your activity, you can perform all your activity better in the day.
Yeah. And any disadvantages of having a car?
What again, please?
Sure. Are there any disadvantages to having a car?
Yes. Here we have, if you want to go to the downtown, you have a lot of traffic in the rush hour, and you have a problem with the parking because in the downtown it's very difficult to find a place to park your car. And even if you pay a parking lot, then in the laboral day, it's very difficult to find a place.
Okay, so there's limited parking, and that makes it difficult. Yeah, I agree. And Emily, what about you? What do you think the biggest advantage of having a car would be, and maybe a disadvantage?
The advantage and disadvantage of having a car.
Like if you had a car, is that exciting, or you're like, no, I don't want a car?
To be honest, it will depend on where you live. So if you live in a big city, probably in Toronto, it's better not because you can take the subway to go almost 90% of the area that you want. But if you stay in a small city like in London, probably it's better to have a car because like the public transportation is just terrible.
Right.
Yeah, but for me, like the advantage of having a car is that you can go wherever and whenever you want. So you don't need to depend on the public transportation to see bus will come, and then you don't need to wait for a long time. And having a car is faster than taking the public transportation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot faster to get where you need to go. And you just leave when you want. One of the biggest things that I've noticed about having a car, I can take whatever I want with me wherever I want to go. I remember when I used to want to go to the beach, I'd have to think, okay, Curtis wants to take a chair because he hates sitting on the sand. Okay, I want to have a blanket because I like sitting on the sand. Okay, we need an umbrella. okay, do we have enough space, or can we carry a cooler? So it was difficult to think about how much you can take with you when you have to rely on public transportation.
Yeah, especially for me, I usually ask my landlord to give me a ride to the grocery store, because if I take the public transportation to go to the grocery store, I need to carry all of the grocery bags by myself, and I need to wait for the bus, take the bus, and get off the bus, and I walk for like 10 minutes. If there are lots of stuffs for you to carry, it's very heavy and very inconvenient.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. My first year here in Mexico, I had to walk to the store all the time. I hated it. And I think it's just because, like, in Canada, just like the video link that I shared, the culture is very much to have a car. So I had a car, I liked my car, and then I didn't have a car, and I was like, okay, it's okay, I can do this for a year. Okay. And Lydian, what do you think are the biggest advantages and disadvantages of having a car?
Oh, when I thought about the advantages, I always think go to the supermarket, because it's so easy to put a lot of things there, and comfortable is so nice too. And you have more time to enjoy your time.
Exactly.
And,
like while you're traveling, you mean it's comfortable and you can enjoy your time?
Yes. But disadvantages here in Brazil is about the taxes and the insurance and gas, and of course the traffic. I'm living in another city, and I work at I waste more than 30 minutes to go in my job, and then I have to dealing with block on the freeways.
Okay, the traffic jams on the freeway. Okay. All right. Yeah, and you're right. The cost of having a car is definitely a disadvantage. I have to take my car to the mechanic next week. So okay. It's okay, but it's part of having a car. You have to take care of it. And Mohammed, what do you think the biggest advantage of having a car and the disadvantages where you live?
Yes, I can tell you about in Jakarta is about disadvantages having a car in Jakarta. In Jakarta, the government had applied new rules, even even plate number and odd even number based on the date of the calendar. So right now is the September 22nd, right? So a few main road in Jakarta, it's just low, even.
Oh yeah, the even and odd number plates. Okay.
Yes, that's what I mean. So and the next day, tomorrow, September 23 is the odd plate number. Yeah, the car had the odd plate number, low in the few main road in Jakarta. So this rule is maybe we can call it disadvantage, but in other hand is an advantage, because the rules that's proposed to subtract the traffic jam in Jakarta, and the result is pretty fair, and I can feel the traffic jam in Jakarta is decrease,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, we we can see the Jakarta is more better for the traffic and the public transportation.
Okay, I have a question because I'm like,
Yes.
oh, you have a car and you can only use it 50% of the time? That's crazy. So how do the people on the day that they can't use their car, what do they do? How are they dealing with this? Do they go together in a co-worker's car? Do they catch the public transportation? How are they getting where they need to go without their car?
Yes, the people have adjustment with the rules. The rules is happen from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m.
Okay.
and a large number of people use public transportation, and the most favorite public transportation is taxi bike.
Oh, okay.
So the work, especially for worker and the student,
Mm-hmm.
is very cheap
Mm-hmm.
and easier, and yes, it's and more faster
Mm-hmm.
arrive the destination.
Okay.
And the other ways the people is head adjustment if they have odd number plate number,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't use the car when the odd death is happen, and and yes, that I see and I feel about the effect of the rules.
Okay, I see. So it's you either take the public transportation, you call
Right.
a bike taxi, or maybe if you have a coworker in the same area, you can go together in the same car. I don't know if that's
Exactly.
common, but in Canada, it's common. I think the United States too. We call this carpooling, and that's where you have, for example, you make an agreement with someone. Okay, on this day, I'll pick you up, and on this day, you pick me up, and it saves with gas and everything. But I would think in this situation, it would be like, okay, you live in the same area of town as me. You have an odd number plate. I have an even number plate. We'll alternate. Yeah. Okay. And
That's good.
yeah. And Julia, what about for you? What is your opinion about the advantages of having a car versus the disadvantages?
Well, in my case, when I have no public transportation in my town, there are no disadvantages at all. So I have no, I have no choice. I need a car, and I can drive a lot, and I can drive my my children to school and to to the daycare, and I can visit my parents, and I can put lots of useless into the car when I'm traveling. But as soon as I'm going to visit my relatives in Moscow, then the car is a huge problem because of the traffic jams. So I need to choose the appropriate time to drive to Moscow and drive back from Moscow. And if for example, right now I can drive easily, it's Saturday evening, and it is very easy to drive in Moscow. But if I'm going to leave Moscow tomorrow in the evening, if I not leave, I mean, if I would like to go to Moscow tomorrow at the same time, it would be almost impossible because everyone wants to go back from the country houses, and it will take forever.
Okay, I see. So you have to be very aware of what the other people are doing and how many people are on the road, because it affects the traffic a lot. Even though it's not like on Sunday, you think, oh, whatever, it'll be fine. But it's not work rush hour. It's returning back to the city after escaping for a few days. Everybody is coming back at the same time. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's I don't like big cities because of the traffic and the parking, and I agree. In the big cities, it's essential to have public transportation, and it's really important that they have a good public transportation system. And when you have, for example, I know one of my friends, he lives in Mexico City, which is a very big, very busy, horrible traffic jam city. And he told me it takes him 1.5 to 2 hours to go to and from his workplace every day. And, you know, when he's traveling, the conditions are crowded. If you're on a bus, the buses aren't moving very fast, and you're just stuck in traffic waiting. So I don't know. This sort of thing makes me want to stay in a small town. I'm scared of big cities.
Yeah. Especially one day when I went to Toronto to get some training, and I just live in a house. But later, I just say that, oh, you say that it's very close to the subway, very close to the bus, and it actually took me around 2 hours to go to the place that I want to go. So I just say, oh, it's too far for me. But the landlord just told me, oh, actually you haven't stayed in big city for a long time. 2 hours is not a big deal for us.
Yeah, exactly. And it's incredible because that's a lot of time, 2 hours of traveling. I mean, if you're working for 8 hours in the day, 1 hour or half an hour for lunch, that's already 8.5 or 9 hours. And then to add 2 hours and 2 hours, you better enjoy your bus ride, because the only thing you have left to do is sleep. Like there's no time to do anything. It's a long day.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, that was a really good conversation, guys. You know, we had a lot of people here, but I hope everybody feels like we split the time evenly with the speaking. And yeah, this time, particularly on Saturday, is very popular. So I'll probably add an extra time, either 1 hour early or 1 hour later, to split this session times, especially if we have it on Saturday. But yeah, if anybody wants to stay after this is, after I leave anyway, you're welcome to stay and have a little group discussion. I know some of you will go, but you can continue to stay and talk to each other, do more speaking practice, and get to know some of the other people here. And I'll see you guys soon.
Yes, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
See you
Bye.
guys. Take care.
You too.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, bye-bye.